in the background. We know, and the American Association of Pediatricians has told us, children below age 2 should watch no television. Their brains are developing. Zero, zilch, nada. No television. We also know from our research that in 75% of the homes surveyed, of thousands of homes, television was on all day in the background, whether it was a parent or a caregiver. Okay? Yeah, that matters. We also know that at home, no unsupervised use of smartphones. And Louise had actually shared this with me, and I had read just a little bit about it. But kids who have these smartphones, which are really computers, we learned that FaceTime is not just face when it's about sexting, is it? And that kids who have that ability, whether on their computer, on their phone, in their rooms, late at night when their parents don't know what they're doing, are sharing lots of things with their boyfriends and girlfriends. And those things are going viral. So why would you ever allow a kid to have media in his or her room like that? If the parents keep the charger in their bedroom and they have to use the media in a central area where the parents are watching, we can avoid a lot of those behaviors. We have to teach kids, and sometimes ourselves, unfortunately, the difference between true friends and those on social networks. It was very clever coming up with the name Friend, wasn't it? On Facebook, Friends. And Margaret Lees from the Dispute Resolution Center, part of her presentations, she writes about a high school news staff that created, have you heard about this one? Created a fake Facebook profile. The student never existed, and it was the news staff themselves who created this kid. So they put together a total profile. In 2 weeks, that student, and they just broadcast it out on their own campus. In 2 weeks, that student had 345 friends on campus. The kid didn't exist. This fictional kid, a la the news staff, they had sent it out to the vast majority, but not everybody in the high school population. 90% of the kids they sent it to accepted the friending request from a stranger. We know about stranger danger. Only 37 rejected the friending request. 8 kids who hadn't been contacted to befriend this non-existent friend initiated the request themselves for that person to be their friend. Imagine how they all felt when they found out it didn't exist. So the school started to work on that. We've got to help kids make positive friends. We've got to teach them what a true friend is. And I was visiting with someone here during the break. That whole idea I mentioned to you earlier, don't open yourself up, please, on Facebook. Don't open yourself up to families on social networks. Several years ago, my daughters-in-law wanted me to be on Facebook so I could see pictures of the grandkids because nobody lived around here. So I thought that was a great idea, so I started a Facebook page. Well, didn't take long, less than a month. Oh, I had all these requests from people. Wasn't I popular? And then I started to ask myself, why would a student I gave a D to at Trinity University want to be my friend? Then came somebody in my clinical practice many years ago. I've had a clinical practice for really almost 40 years now. Somebody who had extremely dangerous behaviors, and I had referred out to psychiatrists, to residential treatment. Well, he's a grown man now, and he wanted to be my friend too. You're laughing. Yeah, my husband didn't think it was funny either. You know, it was kind of like, what are you doing on there? So I had to cancel my Facebook page, and that's okay. That's okay. I can still see the pictures of the grandkids. But what I'm saying to you is you open yourself up. When you are texting, back and forth, whether you're CASA, whether you're CPS, with your families, and whether you are working at a school. Please understand you open yourself up for lawsuits out the kazoo, because kids, it's a sense of empowerment to be texting back and forth with an adult. Who knows how they're really interpreting your quick message. So when I'm saying for kids to learn the difference of what a real friend is, we adults have to learn the difference as well. So just please, take care. Now, got to create a list of what should remain private. And you should please have the adults you work with share this with their children. First of all, keep a separate password, adults. Do not have the same password for everybody in the household on the computer. Because if a teenager gives it out, then that teenager and his or her friends, whom you may not want to, may have access to your financial records, to absolutely everything. So this should remain private. We've got to have families, age, appearance, places to hang out. I have an extended family member who just wasn't thinking and shared a picture of herself and her younger sister in very small bikinis, looking very sexy, and told what school her sister was at and posted it on her Facebook page. Needless to say, Dad was not a happy camper, but it was, oh no, it just went out to my friends. So we don't want that. I was at the Winston Symposium last Friday and sat in a session where a mom said, as much as she has drilled this into her kids, her son was so excited when he got his driver's license that he went on, Instagram, Facebook, and everything. He took a photo of it and sent it out to the world. There's a lot of information on your driver's license. And she said, what were you thinking? And what did he say? It's just to my friends. I wanted to show them, okay? So we have to let kids know social media, any information about the family, certainly about credit cards. Now, another point in technology that we really, really need to understand is the kids are tired. The kids are really, really tired. There's a lack of sleep, and that's because a lot of kids have their cell phones with them overnight. And please understand, it's not that, teenagers should all be lawyers. And they say, oh, well, I'm just checking. If I wake up, I just want to see if I had any messages. It's an appendage here. And, yeah, right. So you get a message in the middle of the night from somebody, and you're going to roll over and go right back to sleep? I was born at night, but not last night. You're not going to do that one, are you? I don't think so. So we got to get that out. The other thing we're finding, though, is there's a huge addiction to media. And there we're getting irritability, agitation, and behavioral problems. I cannot tell you the number of kids I see whom the parents say, because physicians will refer kids to me to see if they have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So you go through all the Connor stuff, you do the history, you contact the teachers, all of the above, you know that stuff. Well, the parents come in and say, no, she has ADHD and is going to need a medication. Well, what you find in looking at the kid is the symptoms overlap, but you have a kid who is very addicted to technology. And that is the reason for the agitation, the irritability. South Korea and China have addiction camps for teenagers where they go and they stay there because they are so addicted to their technology. The New York Times has reported in the past few years how in Japan, in Tokyo, adults are so addicted to games that they leave their children and forget about them and go downtown to play games, and you know how quickly the night passes. A lot of neglect, a lot of abuse going on because of the addiction. This is what I was going to tell you about Angry Birds. Their CEO of Rovio, who produces Angry Birds, in 2011, he reported that there were being played every day 200 million minutes of Angry Birds a day. How many zeros is that? 200 million minutes of Angry Birds played every day. Some people call them stupid games because they're not productive. They're just distractions. They kind of keep you going. Nothing is coming out of it. The whole idea, too, I get a lot of parents who say, well, the kids are multitasking better. Our most recent research, even in the last months, because we're just getting into this, we don't have a lot of research, is showing they really aren't. We're finding that they're used to multitasking more than you and I are, but what the research is showing is that while they may handle multitasking, it is taking them longer to do things. Well, did that take a doctoral dissertation? I mean, yeah. If you're looking at the screen, I'll tell you an example. I was in a university library. So I walk in, and there's a young woman sitting there in front of the library computer screen. So what does she have on there? A movie. She's watching a movie. She has headphones on, I guess, to listen to the movie. And she has her smartphone out. She's texting. In the midst of all of this, she has a book that's open in front of her. A very thick book. Looked like something in the sciences because of the numbers and things as I walk by. So maybe she's pre-engineering, pre-med, whatever. You know what? I don't want her to be my doctor or engineer. I really don't, because that's multitasking to a degree. What is she really learning? What is she really learning? We have to be very, very careful. We know from our research that kids, teens especially, the research has been on, who play computer games more than 1 hour a day, they have a significantly lower grade point average at school. If they're playing games more than an hour a day, they have significantly greater symptoms of ADHD and inattention. And that means they have less focus and concentration on their schoolwork. They are more frequently medicated for medicated with drugs for behavioral types of symptoms. And we know the Unplug, Don't Drug movement, that's in Canada, has really moved across the country, and they are now asking families and they're asking doctors, before you prescribe meds for kids who come in with these symptoms, seeming like they have ADHD, before you start putting them on Adderall or something like that, have the families cut out the use of games, media, for 3 weeks. Adults using it only for work when they have to. And see, and if the symptoms still exist, talk to the doctor. But what they found is many go away. But what's the problem? That sounds very pie in the sky. That sounds like a university idea. What's going to happen? You're going to shut it down for 3 weeks? You're going to shut it down? Am I going to shut it down? We all have our smart everythings. So us giving it up because we're pretty addicted is tough. But what we can do is we can work with our families and we can ask them to modulate that better than they have. I'm going to get into cyberbullying next, but first I would like to see if there are any questions, please. Anybody have any questions about strategies for the general use of technology? Okay. Okay. We've got to remind kids constantly when a message or photo is online, it's forever. And kids are immediate, kids are impulsive, and kids are not going to believe. They don't get it. Oh, it's so exciting. They're just, did you ever see that TV commercial? They're not doing it anymore. But it's really a cute one where the young woman is maybe in her early 20s, or she's either living in her own place, working, or a college student. And she's saying her poor parents only have about 8 friends. You've seen this one, have you? And she has 217, but pushing 5,000 or something. She's got a whole bunch of friends. And she's mocking them. Oh, those poor people. And what are the parents doing? Anybody? They're out there with their friends. They're out in the woods. They're getting on bicycles. They're hanging out. They know what real friends are. And this is what we have to realize. But kids don't get that. Teach empathy. Would you want somebody to say that about you? And that was on the list that I gave you. That's very, very important. Again, cyberbullying. I want to say something. Actually, it was Louise who gave me this third one. Before sending a message, I think, Louise, you said, would I want my mother to read this? And you ask kids, before they send a message or a photo out, is this something my parents, grandparents, etc., should really see? I want to make a distinction, however, here between bullying and cyberbullying, because I have been in situations where adults will say, kids have bullied forever. It's just part of childhood. You got to get over it, all this cyberbullying stuff. First of all, we never get over bullying. It never felt good for anybody, and we shouldn't do it. But cyberbullying is different. It's even bigger. A person who physically bullies you is in your face, right? I remember when I was a kid in Brooklyn. My brother was about 4, so he was about 7, and we were on the wrong side of the street, and he made eye contact with some big kids in a gang, and they really beat him up. They really beat him up. It was very frightening. Now that was physical aggression at its worst, but it was a type of bullying. And when it was done, they left. And he was angry, and my dad was angry and saying, okay, you got to learn to do this. You know, that's the wrong way. We fight violence with violence, but that's how it happens. But that was physical. With cyberbullying, you know, it doesn't go away. Like we say, we put it online. It's very powerful. Physical bullying, the bully's bigger, right? The bully many times will have support of others through that fear factor, like that dad had that I mentioned to you. And it can be a one-on-one, or if it's gangs, a group on one. And it's physical, and then people hate it. They go their way, but everybody feels bad. There's no excuse. But what about a 16-year-old girl who's in love with somebody? I wrote out to start one of the articles on Trinity with this story, who's in love. And her boyfriend wants her to take some sexy pictures and send them on. She sends that out. You think the boyfriend's going to keep it to himself? Oh, I don't think so. I had a man in an audience one time say, are you kidding me? When I was 16, if somebody had sent that to me, I would have sent it out to every guy I knew. Because to him, he said, and to the guys, it meant status. Then the others at the school come back at her. She's got the problem. She's the slut, and on and on and on. It's very different because it can go on and be with her forever. So we really have to be concerned about the impact of this.